Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I took you out to the woods to show you the next watch. This is actually, I don't live here. This is actually called a hunting cabin here in Sweden. My kids go here with their school sometimes. They take their stuff with them and they put up a fire right there and they barbecue some sausages and they play around building some forts and stuff, and they're playing around here. The hunters usually gather in these kinds of cabins before they go hunting. It's a place for them to get warm and drink some coffee and then go out hunting. It's a beautiful place. It's in the woods, and I thought it would be the perfect place to show you the next watch. And actually, this place has nothing to do with the watch because it's not really the right environment for this kind of watch. But either way, I thought it was a good idea to get out here and show you the Cartier tank. Stay tuned. Well, this is a good place as any. You know, I told you in a previous review, and I've said it a couple of times, I work at a preschool, and I started there last year in September. So I've worked there for nearly half a year. And you know, when you start working at a preschool, you get to know the parents a little more for each day. And one day I noticed one of the dads to one of the children. He was wearing something on his wrist that I found quite familiar, and I recognized it. And I built up the courage, and one day I asked him, "Is that the Cartier tank you're wearing?" And it was. And we started talking about watches. He's a watch collector, I'm a watch collector. And you know, it's really cool to find someone who shares your interest and hobby in a place like that at work while you're taking care of their children. And yeah, we struck up some kind of friendship, and I dared to ask him if he could lend me the watch for a video. I showed him my channel and he was glad to do it. So here we are with the Cartier tank, or Cartier Santos. So let's take a look at it. There it is. The Cartier tank. This is by far the smallest watch I have ever featured on this channel. But you know what? I really really, really like it. It's a beautiful, stunning piece of art. Look how flat it is on the wrist. It's a quartz movement. And you know, the Cartier Santos is one of the watches that's actually, Cartier is a brand who also makes perfumes. They make fashion stuff, perfumes, but still it's allowed in the Facebook groups. I don't know about you guys, but in Sweden we have 2 large Facebook groups, and in both these groups perfume watches are not allowed. You know, watches like Tommy Hilfiger, Armani, Versace, Michael Kors, Daniel Wellington, watches with no history, but only a brand taken from another thing and slapped on a watch just to make a quick buck. But the Cartier tank is allowed everywhere because this watch has a cool history behind it. It's been with us for a while, and it's a piece of art. It's a real beauty. It's small. It's really, really small. And I usually don't wear watches this small. I actually never have. But you know what? I'd make an exception for the Cartier because it's really cool. It feels like you're wearing a bracelet. And that's the first thing my brother and wife said to me when I put this on to show them. They said, "Is that a bracelet?" No, it's a watch, and a real cool one at that. It's steel and gold, 18 karat gold, quartz. You got the Cartier logo on the clasp. You get all these screw details in 18 karat gold, looking badass. I just wish they could line up, but that's impossible. I've done a bunch of reading up on why the Rolex coronet doesn't line up on the crown, and it's an impossible thing to do. And how about all of these screws lining up? That would be an impossible task. But look at the watch. She's a stunner. And even though she's really small, even though this is a watch I would a watch this size I would never wear. I would never buy a watch this size, but this particular watch in this size I would buy. It's like a piece of jewelry. It is like a bracelet on your wrist. You don't feel wearing it. It feels smooth and soft and really follows your skin around. It's really, really perfect. Sure, I wouldn't mind if it was bigger. And actually, the guy that lent me this watch, he has a bigger Cartier watch with a rubber strap. And maybe someday he'll lend me that watch to show on this channel as well. But for now, we have to. This will have to do. That's great. We found some shade. You know, the guy that lent me this watch, the dad, he's a big dude. A really big, beefy guy. Well trained. He's big. He's big. And he still wears this watch. And there's something about that I find really cool. A big guy, trimmed, jacked up, wearing the Cartier tank. To me, that shows confidence. To me, it shows that you like something, and if you like it, then you wear it, no matter how small it looks or how big it looks on your wrist. Because on the forums, in the watch channels, we hear the talk quite often, and the questions: is this watch too big for me? Is this watch too small for me? And people pretending to be experts, giving other people advice on what to wear and what to not wear. But really, it all comes down to personal preference. Do you think it's too big? Do you think it's too small? You are the only person who could judge if something is too big or too small for you. If you want to wear something or if you don't want to wear something. The only person that can answer that question is actually you. Anyway, take a look at this guy. Really nifty to have the lugs with the pinholes, so you can just take off the bracelet easily. We got the blue, I don't know if that's, what is that? Is it a ruby or something? I should probably read up on this watch. You know, I'm gonna put in a segment in this video explaining a little about the Cartier tank and what it is and where it came from. But let's just, this is like he lent it to me for the weekend, and it's been raining from Friday until today, Sunday. So I haven't been able to do any filming, and my son had his birthday, so I had a lot of preparation to do for that. But today it's beautiful, sunny outside, and I thought I had to take the opportunity and film the watch before I have to return it. So I haven't really had a chance to read up on it, but I'm gonna put in a little segment about the watch. Here we have the bracelet. I think something has happened here. Maybe some part of the bracelet has loosened up a little, because you can see a more gap there. Screwed links. What do we have here? It's the stamp on the back. Santos de Cartier, quartz, Swiss made, au retachier, and then some kind of number. But I thought I'd just take it on in the sun and do a quick first impression, because I have to send it back and I haven't had the time to read up on it. But what do you guys think? Do you really agree with me with it's only you who can decide if a watch is too small or too big? Or do you think that no, there is actually some kind of measurement you should go after and you should stick to that, some kind of rule? Because I've been there in the comments, you know, I've seen horrible Invictas and G-Shocks that are way too big on other people's wrists. And I've been there in the comments answering, it's too big for you. I've done that, but in the last couple of years, I've changed my mind a little bit about things being too big or too small. Some like to wear things big, some like to wear them small. And really, it's, for me, now, it's just personal preference, nothing more. But what do you think? Please hit me up in the comments with your opinions. You know what? I don't think I'm gonna return this watch. I'll just quit my job, never show up again. No, but seriously, how incredibly good does this watch feel to wear? You know the answer to that? It's incredibly good. And look at the details. The Roman numerals, the date at the 6 o'clock, the Swiss made on the left and right of it. We have the really dark blue minute, second, and hour hands accompanying the stone at the crown. A perfectly executed dress watch. I feel like $1,000,000 wearing this guy. It feels great. And it feels vintage. It feels like something that's been worn and loved for many years. And I don't actually think that he bought this as a new watch. I think this watch has been loved by several guys or gals, because this watch, actually, my wife could pull this one off. It would be a little bigger on her than on me, obviously, but she could pull it off easily. And I actually think, and I'm not lying here because I'm not promoting this watch in any way. It's not sent to me from some company to review. It's just a friend of mine gave it to me for a video. And actually, I think I'm pulling it off. What do you guys think? Am I being really stupid here? Am I pulling it off, or is it way too small? And I went from big ass Breitlings, and yeah, I have to admit it, I've owned one Invicta or two. I went from really liking big watches, 45, 46 millimeters, to this, to liking a Cartier tank. It all started with going down to 41 on my Tudor, and then going down to 40 on the Gino, and then buying a Rolex on 40, and now I'm really considering that one day, if I can afford it, if I can afford to add one of these to my collection, I'm really considering buying a Cartier tank. The smallest watch I've worn until today. It's really funny and strange how you change your opinion and your tastes when in this hobby of ours, when collecting, and when you come across watches that you never thought you'd ever want to buy, and when you put them on your wrist and when you feel them on your wrist, something just clicks in your head and you want it. That's funny. It really is. And that's actually all for today, folks. I showed you the Cartier tank, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to borrow it, because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but when you start this journey, collecting journey, you don't even know that you're gonna end up collecting. You buy a first watch. In my case, I bought a Breitling. Actually, my wife bought it for me when we were getting married, and something clicked right there. I started loving watches, and I had the Breitling for many years, and then I started wanting more. I wanted different watches. I wanted G-Shocks. I wanted cheap watches. I wanted micro brands. I wanted Seikos, and then I started looking at Tudor, and then I started looking at Rolex, but I didn't want a Rolex, and then I ended up with a Rolex anyway. You know, it's a journey, and at first you think you like something, and you know what you don't like. I really didn't like small watches, and then something changes along the way. You experience. Actually, my wife called while recording this, so I really lost my point there, and I really don't know where to pick up. But I think I was talking about how the journey and the collecting experience changes you. And when you put on a watch that you never thought you'd ever wear because it's too small, too big, leather strap, rubber strap, no matter the reason, and you put it on and something happens with you. And that's what happened to me when putting on the Cartier tank. I know, probably a lot of you guys think it's too small on me. And you know what? I actually think that as well, somewhere back here. But somewhere in here, on the front maybe, I really don't give a shit, because I really like the look of this watch and the way it feels on the wrist. And I really consider someday, when I start to work a little more, because now I'm not working as much because I want to have the time to enjoy my children while they're small. Soon enough, I'm not going to be seeing them at all. One day, I'll be adding this to my collection. Actually, I can show you one of the small, I really don't know the English word for this, because it's is it a cottage? No, it's not a cottage. You know, my children actually built this one with their school. As I said in the beginning of the video, they come here and they play around with the school. And this is we call it, in Swedish, we call it a koja. It's a kind of a, yeah, you can see it's a hiding place. They pretend they're cooking dinner inside there and sitting inside there, and I don't know, maybe playing that the wolves are out here or something. Anyway, that's all for me today. I really appreciate whoever's watching these videos, and I really appreciate all the comments, no matter if they're positive or negative. I really like that you're watching this. It's something I really enjoy doing, and I hope you enjoy watching it. I'm just gonna get back in my car now and go back home, get some dinner, put the kids to bed, and tomorrow's Monday and a new working week begins. So I hope you stay safe out there in this crazy time that is right now, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye bye.